believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up. So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high-quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music.
I feel the need for speed.
Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man Andy Gill. I hope everyone's keeping well in the world right now.
Hello everyone, welcome aboard yet again.
Hello, it's Ash again. Hi.
Gentlemen, it's been a week. How are we all doing? Before you even answer, I'm in such a bad mood about getting that fucking ticket when I went to the cinema for parking. Even though I was there and I've got evidence to show that I was there, I'm in such a bad mood about that. Days fucking later. I've written to the MPs. I'm going to take these bastards down. I've decided.
Wasn't even going to mention anything about it, but yeah. See, this is what happens. Goes in the daytime. They see the tweed and they think, oh yeah, there's the money. There's the cash cow. he's not going to know that we're going to get him on the camera. He's not going to have the wherewithal. Wrestling with the wrong one.
Yeah, how dare they? Don't they know I will be dealing with their business rates? I will fuck them up.
Did you write to the MP with the fountain pen? That's the main question.
Email. It would take too long to get there by carrier pigeon.
What's the mail for a Karen?
Oh, is it Kevin? I think might be the term. I'm not entirely sure.
Kevin Gillard.
I was absolutely I was proper rage when it fucking came in. Bunch of bastards. And the annoying thing was, so literally the photos they've taken of my car is at 1 and my ticket was printed off at 3 minutes past 1. So those cunts probably walked past me to get a photo of my car as I was walking in the opposite direction. Just shitbags.
I can just imagine it'd be like the scene from Zoolander, just as you're passing, you're just staring at each other.
If I see the cunts tomorrow when I go to the cinema, I'm going to kick off. It's going to be difficult.
Imagine if you'd been to watch Scream 7 and this was the case.
I know. I mean, in fairness, it was cold storage, so it wasn't exactly like high cinema worthy of my attention, but yeah, it could have been worse, I suppose. That is true. But I'm fairly confident with the evidence I've got that they'll go fuck themselves. Anyway, Stu, are you okay? Have you had a good week?
Yeah, so the advantage of not driving, you don't get tickets, do you? Yeah, well, obviously, other than I ripped up the carpet on the stairs and painted it white. Took 3.5 hours, half done. Cat jumped in the paint, paw prints everywhere. Glorious fun on a Thursday afternoon when it's too windy outside to do anything outside. So I'd got all the stuff anyway. I thought it needs to be done, and it was only done because the cats destroyed the bottom step because they can't help themselves, and they pull themselves across it, and it was just ripped to shreds. But there was it was so threadbare that you could see the wood through it. So that's what gave me the idea in the first place. I thought, well, I'm going to stop them in the tracks. I'm going to take it away from them. So to get down to the bare wood and you just get some fabric strips on top. But I didn't realise, like when I saw a wild Matt guy earlier on, that's why he knew about it first. And I went, yeah, this is the plan, but I think it'll take a few hours. You'll be fine. Nah. Underestimated massively.
Incredible. So no cinemas tomorrow for you then? More painting?
Not necessarily. I mean, I've only got one side to do, and it is quick drying paint. So I might pop over in the afternoon.
Elvis documentary, midday, I think. One show in
Yeah.
a day now. So if you want to get that in, I think this might be your last chance. And it's worth a watch. I enjoyed myself. Ash, have you been keeping, sir?
I flew. I didn't even drive home from Holyhead today. I flew via fucking hurricane in my van. Looked like Dorothy in the fucking house, just flying through. Ridiculous. And you say you sent me your picture of the trees barely moving, whereas up here in the northwest, it's just been fucking hurricane season. It's ridiculous.
Incredible. Any cinema for you tomorrow or this weekend?
I have sent you the picture of the screen I'm stuck in, but it's for Django Unchained.
Oh, nice.
Is it why Django Unchained? Is it like a Tarantino season or a?
It's
what season?
It's DiCaprio season.
Okay, right.
So the one that's not the star of the film, but we're showing Django, which I don't mind. I haven't seen it since it was on its original run, but I thought I'll give that one another go, and then gonna go and watch Hoppers on Sunday, I think.
Yeah, I quite fancy Hoppers, to be fair.
Yeah, that does.
I'd like a bit of John Hamm, so yeah, that one's it's on my list at some point when I get a chance. But I've got a secret screening on Monday. Ready or Not 2, do you reckon that could be?
Oh yes, please.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that when I watched Scream 7 yesterday. We'll talk about that at the end of the month. But, oh dear. Yeah, it looks... I suddenly realised I didn't watch the first one. It was already spoiled.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh.
See, I think the first one will be very much up your alley.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it. Like, I saw it, I thought, oh, what is this? This looks intriguing. And then I thought, well, okay, so this is like when I saw that one, the Magician one, that I didn't realise was a franchise either.
Oh, God.
Now You See Me.
No, you
Yeah.
see that one.
Oh.
The second one's one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's absolutely abysmal. But I think Ready or Not, the first one, might have been the first thing I saw Samara Weaving in. If I remember correctly.
Really?
But yeah. Great film, that is. Is that the first thing that I would have seen in it? So quick look. I've somehow seen pretty much most of her films without even trying.
Isn't
Oh, maybe
Buffy
The
in this one?
Babysitter. I think The Babysitter was before that, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was she was in Ash versus the Evil Dead as well. For like 3 episodes, but yeah. I wouldn't have known who she was at that point. But no, Stu, check that one out when you get a chance. I really think that'll be your cup of tea.
You know, the guy who in Scream 7 who looks a little bit like Evan Peters?
The next door neighbour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really annoying me. I thought, he can't because he looks a little bit like Evan Peters. I've seen him something else before. And when I did, I thought, no, I'm going to behave. I'm going to wait till the end. And then I looked and it was Gen V. Oh, yeah. That's something that I haven't even seen season 2 of yet.
Was he really? Okay.
Who's in which one from Gen V?
He was the psychopath.
I mean, they're mostly all of them.
Yeah. Asa German, sorry, is his name.
Sam.
I can't remember the
Oh,
characters' names. Yeah, I never clocked that, to be fair. But yeah, Gen V.
Just because it's been a few years.
Sam Riordan, I can't remember. I wasn't that impressed with the second season of Gen V, I don't think. Felt like it probably should have ended after 1, but...
Well, as soon as it was incorporated into the boys proper, I thought, okay, that's done now.
You'd have thought so.
So
It's interesting because obviously, like The Boys, the original premise of The Boys, the comic book, is a piss take of superhero stuff. So really, the show started off as a piss take of superheroes, and now it's got one spin-off that's already been done. It's got at least 2 other spin-offs that are coming in. It's like, you started off as a piss take of the genre. Now you are the genre.
And the animated one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's never going to end, is it? I mean, I've enjoyed it for the majority of its runtime, but I'm also ready for it to end. Like, I saw something the other day of Game of Thrones after we spoke about that, and there's like a dozen different spin-offs already in works being developed, and I'm like, just let it die. I'm at that point now where I don't want any more than what you've given me too much as it is. Stop giving me more shit, because I don't have enough time to watch it all. But yeah, it's money for old rope, isn't it, I suppose, at this point for them. Right, anyway, moving on. This week we'll be continuing our mini-series of the Netflix problem. We'll be talking about the other side of the box in our short film review, and then Tom Cruise in 1985's Legend. So this week, the Netflix problem that I wanted to talk about, it's not just Netflix who have got this problem, but the ownership crisis that has been created, I feel, does have its roots in Netflix being that's the oldest and probably most established of the streaming companies. Netflix is very much part of the problem here, but probably less obviously so. But I still feel like it's quite an important part of it. It's how that nothing on Netflix feels permanent. The disappearance of physical media, the fragility of streaming libraries, the cultural cost of losing ownership. It's probably the most philosophical episode of the ones we've done. It's less about the business of it, but more about what we lose when everything becomes losable. There's a strange moment, I think, that happens on Netflix when you go to rewatch something that you love, and then it's just not there. There's just this hole where it used to be. So the vanishing library, somehow streaming feels infinite, but also it is shrinking. Netflix loses between 3 and 5% of its library every month due to the licensing churn. Netflix's library is actually smaller than people think. There are fewer titles now available on Netflix than there were in 2015. Shows and films, they disappear with little to no warning. Some Netflix originals have been removed entirely. Hemlock Grove's gone. Daredevil, The Punisher, Arrested Development is due to go later this year, even though Netflix produced 2 seasons of it. Licensing deals tend to be short-term, 12 to 36 months. Even stuff that's described as Netflix originals are actually licensed from other studios, so they're not really Netflix and they're not really original. I think this creates a bit of an illusion of abundance, and it's why the libraries are actually shrinking over the time. You get this frustration of, I'll watch it later, and then it's gone. So Netflix's global licensing also throws a spanner in the works. Like, there are countries you can watch one thing, but you can't watch it in another. This has given the rise to the VPN as well, which is probably something we'll touch on in next week's episode, to be fair, but I still think that's something. Ash, have you ever gone to rewatch something or watch something for the first time that you'd planned on watching, and then all of a sudden it's gone missing?
Yeah, well, yeah, because you say, like, the problem is, I think another problem with it is the amount, you said it all before, all the different streaming that everyone has now. Obviously, when it first started, Netflix all had everything, whereas now everyone has their own fucking thing, so they take it all away and then distribute it there. So now you have to pay out a fucking shit ton if you just want to watch your own one little thing. It's fucking shite.
Stu, has there been any shows in particular that you can think of that you've gone to revisit down the line and it's gone and you didn't have any notice of it?
I mean, there was a classic example of this. I mean, this is quite timely as well, since when this episode comes out, the potential game of the year, Thomas and Friends, is out on PS4 and everywhere else, by the sense of it. That was on Netflix at one point back in the day. It's probably talking about when Ethan was small. So you probably talking about 10 years ago. And it was there. No, 8 years ago. It was there. They had some series on there. Some were on Prime. Some just not available at all. And you're watching halfway through and it did not say leaving soon. And then you go to watch it the next day and it's just gone. So he said, well, I know they're getting better with this stuff now. So when it's leaving soon, but not for everything. Mm-hmm. And for something like that was a kid's thing, you think, oh, well, it must have gone to Prime then, or gone to somewhere else. And it just didn't. It just disappeared. you think, well, know what kids are like anyway, and they just rewatch everything all the time. Not when I'm there, but still, that's generally what they kind of tend to do. It was the same. It's been the same thing with stuff like Peppa Pig in the past and SpongeBob and stuff like that. It's gone and then it's come back again, and it's almost like, oh yeah, you have got to, when you see something on there, you can't necessarily put it in your list because, like you just said, it's gone. And you put the same issue on Prime where sometimes it's there and you put it on and it's under Prime Video, and then when you go to watch it, you have to buy or rent it. And you think, what? Why? It's only on the list because it was free, air quotes. You're not going to necessarily pay for that. And then when you finally get around to watching it, I think that happened with Turn. With me, I'd put it on as it was a Prime show, and then when I finally got around to watching it, it wasn't. So to the high seas I went. But it's just strange. Like, surely these licenses can't be that fragile that they can't be there for a significant amount of time. You think, oh, this is the home of it. Like with the Friends deal, like Friends on Netflix, because people were watching it in the background, which meant then, oh, you get people in when they've finished their tea and they want to watch something else because it's already on. Same with the American Office, did the same thing for them over there. So that makes sense. But then you can't have stuff like Arrested Development and then it just disappear. Bizarre. And there was like one now, that The Man in the High Castle. That was a Prime original show.
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix now. So
Is it?
Yeah, it's there. I saw it yesterday. I only watched the first 2 seasons of that. It got a bit, well, it's a strange premise anyway. But it was decent enough, and I think they went on a break and I never got back into it again. But yeah, it's on Netflix now. But I've never seen that happen before. So it clearly wasn't a Prime original.
Because the only thing I've known, like Lucifer was part of the CW, which I think licensed their stuff to Prime at the time. So they had the first 3 seasons of that. When they dropped it, Netflix picked it up, but they only had seasons 4 and 5 or 5 and 6, whatever it was. I've never known Netflix actually pick up the existing original from somewhere else. That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So let's see who made it, actually.
Is it a Stephen King novel adaptation?
I think so.
Man in the High Castle.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it's about if the Nazis in Japan had won World War II, and it's what America would look like. It's really
I remember
clever.
it being advertised on my Fire Stick when it was first out years ago, because I thought that sounds really interesting. I wouldn't mind watching it, and then I just never, because Prime's terrible at actually promoting shit, I'd completely forgot about it by the time it actually came out. It's also the reason why I've never got around to Reacher either.
Production companies, Amazon Studios.
And now it's
Bizarre.
licensed to their enemy, Netflix. How weird is that? That is utterly bizarre.
I wonder if it's still on Prime.
I was trying to watch, was it Kin? The Irish drug one. And they had season 1 on Netflix, but you had to go to BBC for season 2. And it's like, well, I don't have a TV license, so no, go away.
Yeah.
To the high seas we go. Yo ho.
It's utterly bizarre. It's such a weird world how it works. And like you've mentioned, Friends, or Studied rather, that's apparently due to go at some point in the next few months. And that's been their biggest hit of the last 5 years, because people like that comfort TV. That's why the US Office was such a big hit for so long until that went. And I think that was what was ultimately replaced with Friends. And I think that's where I've been caught out, because I remember there was a time I would, if I just had a spare 20 minutes, I would watch an episode of It's Always Sunny or The League or Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's a few shows I'd recycle through. And I remember there's a time when It's Always Sunny was taken off. I know they've got it back now, and The League was taken off, and that's never come back. And that seems almost impossible to find at this point. So again, this is where the high seas exist for, I think, to make sure that we don't end up with more lost media than we already have.
Yeah,
Well,
it's still on Prime. It's on Netflix and Prime at the same time, and it's an Amazon original.
That's interesting.
I had How I Met Your Mother. I always used to every year I'd just go back through How I Met Your Mother, and it was on Netflix. And then as soon as Disney Plus appeared and they got Hulu, it's gone off of Netflix and it's on Disney Plus now. So that's what I mean. They just once one of the companies gets its own streaming service, off you go, off Netflix and onto their own one.
Yeah. I think as well, this sort of it brings up the difference between like the actual perceived choice and actual choice, because forever Netflix was considered the place that had everything. We've said on one of the previous episodes, like my mom, who wouldn't know anything about all of this stuff, if a new film was coming out at the cinema, she would ask, "Oh, is that on Netflix?" Because to many people, they just see it as that's the place where films just exist now, but it isn't. And I think the fact that losing up to 5% per month and having a smaller catalogue now than in 2015 is a pretty damning indictment of where Netflix has been going for the last decade. And we're sure as shit not paying 2015 prices anymore, are we?
It is amazing that their own originals are in that list as well. Of all the things you'd think they'd keep this on there, and Disney Plus did this as well, didn't they? And because they're not released physically, the only way you can keep them is if you pirate them. So what legal boundaries there? They delete it off their service. You can't buy it any other way. Then how is it illegal obtaining something that you can't buy?
I think that the other thing that Netflix do in these sort of situations is there's this sort of almost replacement theory going on, but on a sort of micro level. So a lot of the shows that they're replacing that we loved. So like I said, The League was one that I wanted to watch forever, and it's never come back. They've tried to replace it with their own shows, but as we've discussed in previous weeks, they don't ever back their own shows to make an impact, because within 2 or 3 years, they're gone. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy for them. It's going to fail because they're making their stuff fail, and they're not keeping enough of the other stuff that exists to keep it a worthwhile endeavour. It's quite dispiriting, I think, as someone who has got like Netflix and has to pay monthly for it. Stu, do you think this could be a sign of like bigger industry problems? Because we've said like it's not just Netflix who do this; it is Disney. And to talk about like WB, they were going to be making the Batgirl film a few years ago, and then that got pulled. And it's not sort of lost media because it never existed, but it does feel like stuff is becoming so dispensable now.
Yeah, it might be as well just server space. Well, this stuff's got to live somewhere. And maybe that they completely underestimated it, and maybe that is why. A bit like they do it with Game Pass, Xbox do it with Game Pass, PlayStation do it on PSN, where the monthly games that you don't get to keep rotate every now and then, because there's only a finite amount of space, especially with all the RAM stuff for the AI nonsense, and which then in turn leads to SSD prices and all that kind of stuff going up. Maybe it's all linked together, and which is why Blu-rays are always best. I've said this for years. Everyone mocked me, and now look, everyone's coming back to it.
You're jumping ahead of me here, Stu. We're going to get onto physical media just now. I think that's a good point to actually jump onto that one. So no physical media means no ownership at this point. Physical media sales have dropped 70% between 2014 and 2022. Like, just to go off script for a minute, I've been into like HMV and stuff, and the DVD section's fucking tiny. The CD sections are tiny. I remember a time when, in Birmingham, for example, they used to have that place in the Palisades that was like 6-7 stories. It was enormous, and it was stocked to the gills. That doesn't exist now. Like, they've got a big-ish store, but big-ish in comparison to other HMVs, not to how we were a decade ago. You can see the impact that's had on the high street as much as it's had on just media in general, really. Like, it feels like it's had a wider impact on things. I was shocked at this one. Netflix stopped its DVD by mail service in 2023. Like, it feels like that was, again, probably a decade ago when that went, but no, only a couple of 3 years back. Most Netflix originals have no physical release. If Netflix removes an original, it just becomes unwatchable. Some Netflix films and shows exist only on Netflix servers. So we are basically talking about the death of ownership in the streaming era. Ash, do you still buy physical media? I know you're not much of a music man, but I mean, CDs, DVDs, books, like, I mean, obviously Kindles and stuff are now taking over. There's a streaming service for Kindles, aren't there? You can get Kindle Unlimited or something.
Something like that. I don't own a Kindle or anything like that, so if I want a book, I buy a book. I will still buy the book. I refuse. I refuse to go down that horrible path. I want paper. I'm trying to think. Games. I want my physical versions of my Pokemon games. I don't think I've ever bought a digital version of a Pokemon game. I think I've bought every single Pokemon game because life. I'm trying to think now. DVD. I ain't bought a DVD in ages. I don't think really. Up until I think we bought every MCU up until Endgame, I think, and then we stopped because the MCU stopped there. I'm trying to think now. Yeah, CDs it don't matter because I don't think I've bought a single or an album for 20 years. Because like you say, I'm not a music person at all. But yeah, I try to keep as much. I don't want to just download it because, like you say, you're not keeping it, are you? It's not yours. You just rented it in the cyberspace.
Yeah. Stu, what's your physical media purchasing like nowadays?
I mean, if it's a film that I really like, I'll get it on Blu-ray. We said, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, about how I bought the Turtles trilogy from the 90s on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, the first one ever. But mostly it's just Blu-ray, mainly because that's what it's designed for. You go too high definition, it messes things up, and it doesn't look right anyway. But then certain things I will just watch on there, and I do own Wicked on Amazon as a digital purchase. So, but then you can watch that anywhere at any time. So that has got its merits as well. But if you are building a digital library, what happens when they go bust? If Amazon go bust, then the world's over. So I shouldn't really worry there. But things like that, like it's about PlayStation stuff. We've both got the ones with a disk drive, mainly because Christmas, birthdays, there's still games to have. There's still games to buy and put on the list. And I've still got a shelf there. And how many? 7, 8 physical games. If they come on Plus, then I'll sell the physical one and keep the digital one. But again, if that PlayStation library goes away, then there's more issues than just that. So I ain't got a problem there. But I would rather always have it in my hand, so to speak, than just existing in some cloud somewhere or some data file, because I don't know, maybe is that just a tactile thing of just slotting it in that it works best, and it's what we grew up with and what we used to. But then since playing on the Portal again, if you're playing the games on your library rather than games in your machine, then they're no use to you if they're on disc, because you've still got to get up and put it in the thing and stream your PS5 to the Portal. So from that point of view, I've thought, well, okay, maybe digital is better now for that reason. But for things like that Thunderbirds collection that I was always going to buy physical, no question about it, because I've always wanted it. 100% has to be physical. Same as the Alien quadrilogy at the time. Same as Turtles. It's like certain things, if I like it enough, I'll buy it, I'll keep it. I mean, you can stream it 4K, you can probably stream it better quality. Like I was watching The Hobbit, all three of them look better on Blu-ray, normal Blu-ray as well, than streamed. This shouldn't be the case.
There's got to be something with the compression algorithm or something if it looks shit on streaming, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, we've all heard stories about people buying stuff digitally and then that company loses the license, so they've lost their game. So you're only paying for a license, or like a second-hand license almost. You're paying to license it from the company who will license it from somebody else. So it is a bit of a worrying trend. Do you think like talking specifically about film, do you think a film feels better watching something that you physically own over something that you stream, Stu?
I think you're probably more, in my case, streaming still feels like almost throwaway. Even though it's not, you could be talking, like I just said, that you could be talking about the exact same thing. I mean, I've got Shang-Chi on Blu-ray because I still believed at that point, and that film is very underrated, to be fair. But how many times have I watched that on Disney Plus in 4K in IMAX mode? Once. I've probably watched the Blu-ray 3 times through projector, 1080p. It just feels better. And I don't know if it's like a placebo effect or whatever it is, but I think if you put in something you actually own, you care more about it. It's probably completely a mental thing.
100%. But that still matters. That still counts, doesn't it?
It just feels different. And probably because we're over 40.
Maybe. Ash, do you agree with it?
I do. We grew up. Do you know what? As Stu was talking, then it made me think of Blockbuster. Like you didn't care as much when you rented it, like you enjoyed it, but you just you're going to take it back at some point. It's not yours. So that's what it made me think of, and I think it's a dying generation now. It's going to be, you talk to people of a certain age, they won't give a shit, but we will, because we know what it was like to go to a Blockbuster and rent a DVD and then just give it back. And then when you've got your own version, it's so much more important. That, like, even with, I suppose as well, it'd be the same with your VHSs. You kept better condition of your VHSs. You didn't want to ruin them. Whereas you borrowed one, you could fuck that shit up, fuck that tape up all you want. Like, it's not yours.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, there is something, like, I know I've got, like, Scott Pilgrim, I've got the 4K version of that, and I'm more than happy to go out of my way to walk upstairs to get the DVD out, and that is much more interesting than just finding it on Netflix and streaming it. It'll be almost exactly the same quality, but there's something about the ritual, I feel, with actually putting the DVD disc in, and there is something that you just can't replicate. And I think it goes back to what you said about wanting a book rather than a Kindle. Like, I use my Kindle app on my iPad, but it's not the same as, like, cracking the spine of a book. There's something ritualistic about it that Netflix just doesn't understand.
Yeah. I mean, I went out of my way and bought, it's going to come through on there, the PS5 media remote.
Oh, I've got that, yeah. For exactly the same reason you have, I'm assuming. 5
years after it came out. Like, because I'd started using it for Blu-rays, because it's just easy to... And I mean, my old creaky old PS3 was still hooked up for 3D ones and the projector, but still, I thought, well, just for normal ones, it's there, it's easier. I might as well get this now. And yeah, it just adds to something rather than just pressing the buttons on your smart TV remote. But I never knew anyone who had one. Now, the chances are that out of everyone, you probably did. Did you have a VCR rewind machine?
A VCR rewind?
It was a machine that just rewound your VCRs.
Oh no! Like, I don't know anyone in this country. It feels
VHS. I can't remember. Yeah, so your normal VCRs, you put your VHS tapes in. But this was a VCR without an output. It literally just rewound things. Like Be Kind Rewind, that's what the whole point of that film was. Yeah.
I've seen them, and I feel like it was something that they had at, like, Choice Video was my local rent film place. I don't know any normal human who had one, though. Like, I don't even know if that's a thing outside of those kind of shops. Because you obviously have they're all pan and scan, weren't they? So you could always just pan back and stuff to get to the parts that you wanted to. Look, and that feels like that's something that's missed out, just hitting the rewind button and like trying to find the start of the episode rather than just clicking back and being automatically there. That nostalgia just completely doesn't exist. Yeah, that's it.
You can get them on eBay.
Amazing. How much?
Video cassette rewinder, £17.70.
Oh, that's not bad.
There's one. The one that I remember. It's 130 quid on Amazon.
Incredible.
Yeah, they were like tape deck locking things.
Yeah,
You just put them in and you rewound them. That was all they did.
because it was done super fast in comparison to the normal
Yeah, and
VHSs, wasn't it?
it saved the heads on your VCR and the magnets and everything on the tape because it was doing it like that.
So should we care about physical media still, Ash? Like, should we just accept that physical media is probably going the way of the dodo at this point and just accept everything on streaming? Or should we try and preserve these things a little bit?
I think we're going to be showing our age here. I think it's a good job that you as older people and me as less older person, because we've got that fondness. We've got the fondness of those sort of things. You're asking the wrong age. You're asking the wrong crowd, really, because we've always got those memories of stuff like that. Like I was just thinking before, while you were talking, with your DVDs, it's for me, and the film's awful. But what was the film with Ant and Dec? The Alien film,
Alien Autopsy.
Alien Autopsy. I have such fond memories of being in uni, putting that on after I'd been on a night out, and waking up to the title screen, music on the title screen, and it's just in my brain now. Like the little title screen, like graphics and stuff like that. Like they're just fond memories that you have of stuff like that. And you'd have like the blooper reel and the DVD extras and all them sort of things. The kids nowadays aren't going to get them. You'd look on the back of the box and go, "Ooh, what's it got? What extras have we got on this one?" And and the kids aren't going to have these now. Like,
I used to love a DVD extra, like especially the Easter eggs, the ones if you pressed right rather than left, and it took you to a different screen, stuff like that. That feels like that's a form of art that we just don't see anymore.
Yeah, like the Canadian version of Terminator 2 that I had, that if you had, I bought one specifically to be able to do this, that if you had a DVD player with a number keypad on it and you typed in Judgment Day, it took you to a third cut of the film.
Amazing.
Which
Incredible.
You can't get anywhere else other than on that DVD. So I had to go out my way to get and this is PS2 days as well, by the way. So I had to get a PS2 region free disc to then get a special remote for PS2, as well as this Canadian half steelbook thing, just to watch this third version of Terminator 2, which it's like the extended edition where like when he's putting his hand on the thing and the pattern of the railing warps around his hand that's not in the theatrical cut. It's like things like that, but even more.
Okay.
So it's like an extra 10 minutes.
I remember buying the Scrubs. I can't remember which season it was in particular, but I bought the Scrubs US version of the DVD because the UK version didn't have the audio commentary for some reason. It had all of the other special features, but only the American one had the commentary. And like, the commentary is just funny people sat around cracking jokes at each other. Like, it's such a simple thing. Like, I suppose it's a proto podcast for where we are now. I think that's the evolution of it. But yeah, I remember having to buy the US version of it to get all these features. So I do really miss a special feature on a DVD.
Oh, the amount of nights I've lost listening to the Red Dwarf audio commentaries. Jesus.
Absolutely.
I think that Red Dwarf was one where I think that was when my love film heyday, where I'd get a season of Red Dwarf, copy them, send them back, watch them, and then when I was waiting for them to come back for the next season, I'd watch them again with the commentary on. That was peak DVD copying days.
Yeah.
But like you kind of hinted at it then, no, because you couldn't get it here, you had to get it in America. That's almost like why I got the Friends box set as well, so it can't be fucked with, and they can't wowify you ever because it's there physically. They can alter it, and I saw a clip on Instagram the other day, like someone had put an episode side by side. I can't remember what it was. I've never seen it before, but it was a TV show that was on a hard copy and what was on the streaming version, and the streaming version was different. And it was like a minute shorter, and you could see where it untangled. You'd never notice that if you weren't obsessed with it. But what have they cut out there and not told anyone? So yeah, they'll mess with this stuff. You get it physically, they can't touch it.
I know they did with Community. There's a whole episode, which is one of the best episodes of the show when they're playing D&D. And because Chang is, when I say blackface, I mean he's a dark elf. He's not playing a person of colour. He's playing his skin is literally black. It's not brown. It's not, it's very much not taking the Al Jolson way of, a non-black person playing a black person. This is a non-black person playing a fucking elf, not anything to do with anything. And they just cut the whole episode. And I understand the sensitivities around it, but I feel like we sort of lose sight of what's important on these things. And this can happen. You are right. Like, they can make these edits. And I don't know if it's the next part. Yeah, so the next part that I've got is the preservation crisis. I feel like there's a real fucking worry about some of these things because, for example, Vice Media collapsed in 23-24. Now, Vice Media was all about investigative journalism, current affairs. It was, tales of political corruption. If that goes, if Netflix, etc., start to fuck with what they've got, what if the president was a paedophile and they decided we're just going to hide that fact because we don't want the world to know? Stories stop getting out because these places have got the ability to do whatever the fuck they want with it because there's no physical media. It's all streaming. We're at the behest of these companies. I mean, HBO Max, Disney, Netflix have all removed dozens of their original things just because of tax write-offs. Like, lost media is just becoming more and more of a thing. They're trying to hide stuff from us, and I don't want to get too fucking conspiracy theorist. But yeah, but like they can do this with us. They can rewrite history quite easily because you've got no evidence of it at that point because it's just gone. It's died.
Remember when I watched that and I talked about it on the excellent Caviezel film, The Sound of Freedom, and you were like, "Oh, that's never going to happen," and yet every single thing in that film has come true, and they've all been exposed since. And it's like, yeah, look at all the shit that they had to get through to get that film even out, and they had to fund it themselves. And still no one even knows about that film existing, apart from that 3-week period where it was out, and then the whole thing about pushing it forward, which kind of ruined it a bit. But things like that, if they can delete it, there's no chance.
It'd be interesting to revisit that film because I know there are issues off screen with some of the funding and stuff like that, and I know like there was a lot of. Like, it's one thing to say such and such is a paedophile. It's another thing to say this group of people are paedophiles. And I know that was a big issue. It's been such a long time. I don't remember the ins and outs of it all. But it would be quite interesting to revisit it now with the eyes of all the Epstein stuff that's hit over the last... I mean, let's not get down to conspiracy theory alley at this point. But it would be quite interesting nonetheless, wouldn't it? Should streaming services, should they have an obligation to preserve what they've done, Ash? Should they be allowed to fuck with their work, basically? Because this isn't George Lucas removing or changing hand to shoot second. This isn't Spielberg removing guns from E.T.
It's kind of a hard question, really.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for.
Yes. Us respected journalists.
That's it.
I suppose I don't know really. I don't really know what to say to that one.
I kind of feel, sorry to jump in, I kind of feel like George Lucas has the right to mess with his art because he's the artist.
Yeah.
I think Netflix is a conglomeration who just gives a shit about money and the art means nothing. So if they can fuck with somebody else's art to make themselves more money, that's the difference, I think, personally.
Yeah.
One's a conglomeration, one's an artist, and I feel like that's the line for me, why I think that it shouldn't be in the hands of somebody like a Netflix or a Disney. It should be the artist's work and what they think it should be.
It's a bit like... It's like classifying art, isn't it? Like you wouldn't museums exist for a reason, and these art like world
Usually
famous
because the
paintings.
British steal everything, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we got to protect it from the world, don't we? They can't protect themselves. World police. But if you are saying that these things are works of art, which they can be, and if you make something yourself and you don't put it out for everyone else, then that's yours. But as soon as you put it out there, if that touches someone's life, does that mean it's art? However shit it is, probably. And
I think it is. I think even shit art is still art.
well, yeah, you can have that fucking cow in half. That was art, apparently. So
Yeah.
And the unmade bed and all that madness. But like things, a bit like the ESRB in America, which is their version of Peggy, games rating board, that they have in their vault somewhere every game, 3 copies of every game ever, going back to when it started in the 90s. So every game physically released, they've got 3 copies of. That can't be
I think that's
deleted.
like the British library as well. I'm sure they've got
Exactly what I was
similar
gonna-
books. Yeah.
Exactly what I was going to say. So if you can have it for that, and we've got the library here, and you've got the IM number on the back of all books, for that reason, then they should really be something for films. And they should have to submit a physical copy somewhere,
It's a good
just
point.
for this reason.
Because then you could have the original copy, you could have the remade copy. Like it's not finite, is it? Like if it does get messed with, you've got the original still to see it. And because I kind of feel like if they start doing this, that it's eroding culture somewhat. Like if a show isn't driving engagement, just delete it. Like that's not the attitude I think you should have. It shouldn't be just a tax write-off. You can just throw away years of work to save a few quid. Licensing deals, when they go awry, just get rid. Like it's so disposable, and I don't think culture should be disposable.
Well, what's that racist Disney film? The animated one?
Song of the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that should be on Disney Plus, but it should be somewhere. And you should be able to go even if it's a case of it's somewhere where you can go and access it. If you have to sit down in a booth or you have to sit down somewhere to watch it, and you can't take it out or anything like that, it needs to be kept somewhere. Because then, what's the point? Otherwise,
Yeah, because stuff like that holds people accountable. Like racist attitudes and stuff that were in the past. I don't think that we should just delete them and hide them. We should see that that was how people thought, and that we should strive to be better. And I know, like, we're only talking about film, but I think art is such an important thing in the world that art and morality are almost interlinked. Like there is a bit of an overlap there. So to just be so flippant to remove stuff, I just don't agree with it. I can't get on board with that at all. The final part then, so illusion of choice. Netflix's homepage only shows a tiny fraction of its library. Autoplay and endless scroll reduces user agency. Categories are algorithmically generated, not curated. So Netflix's algorithm prioritizes retention over discovery. It will show you something like the thing you've just watched, rather than thinking, oh, this is different. Maybe they want a story of somebody different to themselves. So most users never tend to look beyond the first 2 or 3 rows of Netflix, because why would you bother? You've been tailored to by whatever the computer says. Yeah. So I think this is the difference between choice and the illusion of choice. Ash, can you feel that when you're going through it? Like it's just giving you stuff that you've seen a million times. It's not really giving you anything new. It's not trying to push boundaries or open eyes, is it?
No, I'm literally currently looking at my Netflix now just to see what we've got. Like, most of the stuff that it thinks that I'm going to want to watch is all in that first 3. And you have to scroll a fair bit, and then you're on to new from Netflix and sit back and relax and them sort of things. And it's just stuff that I'm not probably going to watch. It's not
ideal, is it? Like, no. Stu, I mean, I know we tend to get set in our ways, especially if we're at home and we've got something on TV. You don't always want something that's going to challenge you, but sometimes you want something fresh and new, and I don't feel like Netflix provides that quite often.
No, you have to go and... I guess it's what's for the best for everyone. From their point of view, they don't care. But that's why I'll go on like twice a week. Even if I'm not watching anything, I'll go on the new or coming soon.
Yeah.
And I'll just add it all. Because I know if there's stuff on there, I know full well, if I don't add it, then I'm not going to see it again. And it happens so many times that when it's supposed to be out, if it's not in the top 10 that week, then it's gone pretty much forever. Unless it comes up on a podcast or something like that. So, in case in point, that obviously the Theroux documentary is not, because that'll be a talking point once everyone's seen it. But as soon as that came on there, add to wish list. And I have started doing, I talked about this a few weeks ago, that I have started doing the did you like thing. And it does seem to be making a difference. So if it does work, then great. And I thought I'll just see what happens. And it does seem to be curating it a little bit better than it was before. But at the same time, you do that by doing that, you do then have to go out of your way to find other things. So it's like you kind of cursing yourself.
Because I imagine saying that you liked film X. I don't know.
Yeah.
Say you liked that film. It will just give you more of that film. It won't try and push your boundaries, I don't think, will it?
Yeah, I mean, after watching The Rip, which I loved, I was actually absolutely in the mood for more of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it knew that I was. So, and it was every single one of them. I mean, I was expecting full Jason Statham at some point. There were a few. But it's not a beekeeper kind of film. It's actually really clever. But it does work when you want it to. But at the same time, if you leave that 24 hours, it's still saying the same thing.
Yeah. Right, okay. I think, in summary, streaming has killed ownership, and we're only just now sort of realising the cost of what we've been losing over the years. Netflix's library is unsustainable, it is shrinking, physical media is dying, and with it, so is permanence. Streaming's actually quite fragile, I think. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to take a lot for it to fall over, whereas DVDs and everything, that was a slow erosion. I think whatever comes next is going to knock out streaming in pretty much an instant. Next week, we'll be talking about the grand unified theory of everything we've talked about so far. It's Enshittification week next week. Which I've just kind of realised after this discussion, next week is just going to be a rallying cry for why we should all go to the Pirate Bay. That's it. It's just get on torrenting, lads. That's how we're going to fucking win this one. After the break, we'll be doing our short film review, The Other Side of the Box, and then Legend featuring Tom Cruise. The other side of the box, there's no definitive article of from 2018 is this week's short film review. I'm kind of disappointed that Ed is somewhere between here and Oxford, because as the non-horror man of the group, I was kind of intrigued. Not that it's particularly horrifying, although what was his comments in the group chat earlier? Did he just call it fucking shit or something to that effect? He wasn't overly impressed, but maybe we'll have to next week, if we can get him on next week, he'll have to give us two of his short film reviews maybe. Ash, I'm going to put a minute on the clock. Tell me when you want me to hit go, and then give us your 60-second review.
Okay, and go. So, other side of the box, I didn't really know what to think about what was happening. They were getting a bit raunchy in the kitchen, and then this jilted ex-boyfriend shows up, and I was like, okay, he looks a bit off. And then what proceeded to happen was the horror version of Doctor Who, with with the Weeping Angels, which meets the Waters of Mars. And all the way through, I couldn't get my head around anything else but watching Doctor Who. Which, to be honest, I quite enjoyed, because they're two of the better episodes of Doctor Who. It was quite enjoyable for a horror fan. I think they built the tension quite well, apart from the fact that the guy in the box just looked a bit like a nonce, to be honest.
Oh, you got nonsense right on the 60 seconds. Well done. Right. Stu, tell me when to hit go.
Erwin. I think nonce is the word. I also had Angelos epithemia in my head, and then with his comb forward hair. And I also had Weeping Angels, mainly because my stepson, when that episode came out, would not go anywhere near statues afterwards. You put them two, and the constant mentions of 2 inches being important, and I thought, well, this is a bit different. And yet, with all horror, does it send a chill down my spine? A couple of times this actually did, funnily enough. There's a couple of really clever moments. I thought with the stuff with the... there was a lot of handheld lighting work, also known as a torch, but it worked really well. And the freaky stuff with the light switches, I thought, yeah, okay, this is some fucked up shit right here. And the whole thing where the box doesn't show any light, it's just a void, just superb. I was very surprised how well I liked it.
2 seconds to go. Excellent. Right, okay. So, Other Side of the Box is an award-winning horror short from 2018. It is basically a creepypasta that was taken off a podcast and put onto film. The premise is probably the tightest one I think that we've done of all of our short films yet. A box arrive in a couple's home, the contents of which are something that only moves when you take your eyes off it. It's Doctor Who's Weeping Angels, but less alien. I thought this short film showed us that big budgets aren't necessary to give you an unsettling feeling inside. They created tension and mystery with a cardboard box. This short works because of the restraint. There were no cheap jump scares. There's no in-depth look at the lore of the man in the box. It's just atmosphere. It's pacing. It's a dash of dread, knowing something is about to go wrong the moment that you blink. This is a grounded, focused, well-acted concept piece. It's answering the question, what is the it referred to in the saying, blink and you'll miss it. Lovely. Right, okay. So after the break, we will be diving into 1985's Legend. Welcome back to the final part of the podcast, which is Cruise continues as we look at 1985's Legend, released in the UK December 13th, 1985, 11 months before Labyrinth. That really surprised me. I don't know why I expected it to be this following Labyrinth, but no, it was the other way around. Legend was released in April 86 in the US, so it was obviously 6 months later. Apparently there were major studio issues in the US, which is why Ridley Scott blames them for this film not quite finding the market, which didn't help that 1 month later, Top Gun was released. So Tom Cruise had gone from being in this film to Top Gun, which we'll get into, but they're quite wildly different performances, and I don't think the audience quite liked that move across. Stu, were you aware of Legend before, or is this new to yourself? What's your history with this film, if any?
Absolutely nothing whatsoever. I kind of wish he still was. I mean, Ridley Scott must have been injecting Nuki Brown into his veins for years. With this. This was... I mean, Labyrinth is the obvious thing to say. Never-ending Story, the other one, Dark Crystal... Mm-hmm. All of your weirdness. I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I never in a million years would I think Tom Cruise would be in a film like this ever. And probably the reason why he hasn't since. Baffled isn't a word. Just speechless.
Ash, what about yourself?
Oh, it was a fucking fever dream, weren't it? Like, I sat down to watch it, and I was like, because it just didn't. It started from minute one, and it just didn't let up. Like, there was nothing. Like, fuck me. I messaged you. I'd love to know what the budget for glitter was on this film. It was everywhere, through the fucking tits. Jesus.
I knew you didn't like it because obviously you messaged me. Stu, I had a feeling you were going to dislike it because of the same reason that it didn't really work for me. There's no story here. It's just all vibe. And like, I don't mind that. Like, when it comes to film, I have a think about colour theory. I find it a really interesting topic, how a director uses colour to tell a story within the story. So there's things in this film that I think I can appreciate, but story and acting isn't particularly one of them because it's not strong. Like, none of the characters in it are really... There's no arc to anyone. There's no depth to any of these characters. They are all basically symbols for something else. And it's more like a tone poem than it is a piece of film. It doesn't quite hit in the way that I want it to. But like I said, the visuals I thought were kind of cool. I think it's a very good looking film. And the fact that this is practical effects, like this is all pre-CGI world, that was quite amazing.
I mean, it was one of my things where I thought this is probably 10 years too early because however good it looked for the time, you're still talking rubber masks, and they looked rubber at times. I mean, not Tim Curry as the South Park Satan, which was quite fun.
Yeah.
Which is all I could think of was his little sporran and his Donald Trump baby, the whole thing. And it's this is I shouldn't be thinking these things at all, let alone in this. Yeah, it did look good. I thought, considering you could see where it was the bits where it was made on the cheap because of the sound stage. You can see the edges where it was back the matte painting was, and the joints. And it's like, well, okay, it's early 80s. You can kind of get away with it. But I think this is a case of if you watch this when you were a kid, you'll still love this film. Very similar to what we talked about with Neverending Story, and certain things like Flight of the Navigator, which is shit, but I love that film because it's a childhood thing. And it's kind of like, well, you're trying to get people, the youth to watch the Star Wars originals now. And so, yeah, they're not going to like it. We know they're not going to like it because it's dated. Even the special editions and whatever, it's dated because it just is what it is. Having not heard of this, having seen it or anything like that, coming in blind in 2026, it wasn't really very favourable because, like everything you said, it looks good. It's very colourful, which... It started off and it was in French as well, the one that I found. So
Okay.
I thought, well, this is different.
How long did you watch it before you realised this probably shouldn't be the one?
It was only the Darkness Mountain at the start.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then when it cuts to Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, and he's this little thing tapping his little paw on the side of the chair, then he might as well been saying, "Yes, sire." This is how silly this has got. It was just a very unserious film, yet it took itself incredibly seriously at the same time. And I just didn't get it. I don't know what it was supposed to be doing. Like, it was... I know that when I sort of read on IMDb, they were saying that Zelda could have been based off this, the Zelda games based off this. I think you can kind of see that because like Hyrule is a bit mental, but this was... It was almost like, yeah, let's put all the LSD in one bowl, and this is what's going to come out. And it was like Yellow Submarine. It was crazy. It was crazy for the sake of it.
I think part of the issue, so during production, there was a massive forest set that was built on the 007 stage at Pinewood Studios, burnt to the ground. So, like, it was one of the largest indoor film sets ever built at the time. And then it was just gone overnight. So Ridley Scott had to rebuild it, rewrite parts of the film, and then compress the shooting schedule in order to try and fit it all in. So I think that's why, like, it feels quite disjointed watching this film as well, I think. Yeah. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of flow to it. It feels quite jumpy across the parts because they literally had to restart everything. So I give them cut me a little bit of slack for that, I think, because that's not an ideal way to do it.
That's fair. And it explains a lot, really.
Yeah.
Ash, what did you think about the visuals of the film?
It's far too pretty for what it was. Like, it was towards the end of the film where they're running in the that's not prison sort of thing. And I was just like, this looks really good for what it is, and it doesn't deserve it. I loved how... I love, like you said, you got that bit where they're sort of in the prison and everything's kind of yellowy, goldy.
and they're going to rescue the princess. You've got the greens outside are all luscious and beautiful. You've got the deep reds when we're with darkness, and I just thought it was a really good looking film. I just wanted a bit more of a story.
Yeah.
Have you seen Mandy?
Which one was Mandy?
Nick Cage and Andrea Riseborough.
Was that the
He's
one
in his
that I?
pants.
Yeah.
Is that the one? No, was that the one that I sent to you that I went to? Is that the one where his wife gets killed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that in cinema.
This film reminded me of that. Not like it's nowhere near it in terms of the genre or anything, but just how the story is such a very basic story, but it feels like there's a world of depth behind it that doesn't quite get explored. And watching this film, that was all I could think of was, this is very Mandy. Like it's perfumed without any real substance to it. And I kind of wondered if Stu was going to agree with me on that point, because there's not a lot behind it, is there?
That's exactly what it is, and I think that's well, we both had the Mandy conundrum over and over again, that we are the bad guys with this one, and we should get it, but it's the same kind of thing. It looks great, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I think so. Does he run? Yes, he's quite action-packed in this, I thought, jumping and diving around the place, and he seems to be doing Tom Cruise things like we've come to expect by this point in his career. He doesn't take his shirt off, though, does he? He's pantsless throughout the film, but I don't remember him taking his shirt off, even when he dives into the water. Obviously no sunglasses either, because he's in basically Hyrule, so I assume glasses don't exist at this point. Explosions? Was there any explosions?
Well, those things falling.
Yeah, but I don't remember anything blowing up.
No.
Did you say, Ash? Sorry.
Explosions of glitter.
Yeah, I've got down. There's definitely some glitter cannons on set.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ridley Scott was obsessed with it. So, like, he'd use glitter, pollen, dust, smoke, fog, snow machines, and wind machines. The cast and crew said that they were breathing glitter for months, and Tom Cruise even joked years later that he was still finding glitter in his hair. So I think that they all got a bit tired of it quite quickly.
And what hair as well. Apparently his longest his natural hair's ever been on screen.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Because, yeah, it's luscious, isn't it?
Yeah.
To think of beauty.
It reminded me of his hair in Mission Impossible 2, which we'll obviously get to, which is what I, at that time, or when I could grow my hair out later on, that's what it was styled on, when it was its longest. And I did have the same kind of sunglasses as well.
Of course you did.
It's just not the dueling John Woo motorbikes. That didn't go that far.
No.
Yeah, but I didn't realise it until he dives in the water for the first time. He's got a little ponytail at the back as well. There's just so much of it.
Yeah. It's very uncruisy, isn't it, that look, I think?
Yeah.
Cruise doing Cruise things. Ash, any stunts or tropes, anything you particularly associate with what we see of Tom Cruise going forward?
When he dives in, I was like, that's definitely... When he dives in the water, I was like, that's definitely Tom Cruise, isn't it? Like, you could just, know it's going to be... Yeah.
Yeah. He's leaping, climbing, anything physical was him, which it would be weird at this point if it wasn't him, I think, even at 23 or however old he is in this movie. We've just come to know him as the guy who does all his own shit.
Yeah.
Stu, any other tropes you've got?
Looking at women in that special way, again.
There's almost... It's almost an innocence.
Yeah.
Like, he's a very... And I still think this now, he's a very unsexual kind of person. There feels like there's an innocence to him, which is weird because he's like 60-odd and got children, so he's definitely had sex, but you wouldn't necessarily think it. He doesn't come across as a sexual being. And I don't know what that is. Like, he kind of feels quite asexual, I think.
It's a Scientology, eh? That's what it is.
Maybe.
But no, you're right. Because he's got that look. But like, if you did that in a Wetherspoons, you get a slap in the face. But you think like he probably wouldn't because of it's Tom.
Well, that Maggie was a Wetherspoons regular, weren't she? The one the one in the swamp, weren't it? He had to charm her, didn't he?
Definitely seen her at Bilston Spoons before. I've also he's got that I'm going to fix this hero energy. Like that kind of feels a bit cruisy, that he's the man with the plan almost. And that feels like quite an early trope of his. So that was the only other thing that I'd got. Cruise's life and thoughts on the film. So he was 23 at this point. We've had Taps, The Outsiders, Risky Business, All the Right Moves, and now this. So I think we've seen like a bit of a grounding of Tom Cruise, where he's worked with big name directors. We've seen him fighting with the studios, unsuccessfully in the case of All the Right Things. But we've seen Cruise gathering the tools that basically built the next 40 years of his career. I think this is like quite a solid ground that he's been building off. Castmates have said that he was obsessed with how things worked. He was asking technical questions. He was watching the effects teams. He was working with the camera team, setting up. Like, he was desperate just to know about the filmmaking process. And I think that's something that we've heard time and time again throughout his career. Mia Sara, who played Lily, the female lead, she was 16 at the time. She said that Cruise was protective, kind, patient, very professional. I think this explains why their chemistry was like innocent, almost brother and sister rather than romantic, because she was a child and that would have been weird. Even though we saw that in fucking, what was the first film we watched of his? Can't remember the name of it, where it was 40-year-old Brooke Sheed.
Yeah.
Shield, yeah, terrible. So at this point, like, he's earnest, unpolished, delicate, and out-muscled on screen, I think, for the first time, really. Tom Cruise said that he loved the ambition of this film. He said that working with Ridley Scott and seeing the world that he was building was like nothing else he had seen. He does recognise that the film didn't land, and he said that Tim Curry was astonishing. He knows it's not a hit, but he's never disowned this film. He accepts it as just part of his journey, part of his legend, if you will. The big three award count then so far, we had 3 nominations before this. There's another 4 nominations to add on to that. So this was nominated for an Academy Award for the best makeup, which absolutely no argument at all. And 3 BAFTAs. It was up for costume, makeup, and visual effects. I mean, we've seen a lot of films much more recently than 1986 that don't look as impressive as this, I think. The critical response, it received praise for its visuals, but criticism for its story, which absolutely no argument there from me. Early review said that Cruise was earnest, pretty, but overshadowed by the production design, and he wasn't the presence he would come. Ultimately and agreeably, the reviews have said that a different TC stole the film because it was all about Tim Curry, which I completely agree with. If you take him out of this film, I don't think there's anything at all particularly worth watching this movie for. Apparently, Tim Curry got so claustrophobic, it was like 5.5 hours worth of makeup that he had to have applied to become Darkness. He was so claustrophobic in the prosthetics, he tried to rip them off himself at one point. The glue tore off some of his skin. Production had to shut down whilst his flesh mended itself. And also the horns were so heavy that he had to be counterbalanced with a harness under his costume. If he moved too fast, the horns would snap off. So that's why the character of Darkness moves so slowly and regally with like the terrifying glide, because he literally couldn't move any faster. I think that worked quite well for the character ultimately. But yeah, I thought Tim Curry was far and away the best thing in this film. The budget and box office. The budget was 25 million, which gives us a cumulative total of 67.5 million. And the box office returns was only 23.5 million, which gives us a cumulative total of 199.4 million. Cage or Cruise? Stu?
I think this is the easy one. It could have been anyone, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was thinking this could be like Dolph Lundgren in He-Man. It's very much like a placeholder for a Tim Curry film. What we just said, it doesn't really matter. Nick Cage could have done something mental with it. Tom Cruise really doesn't. So, yeah, Cage.
Ash?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Cage because I don't know, because of how batshit at little times it can go. I think it sort of leans a little bit more towards Cage.
That's fair. So Tom Cruise wasn't the first choice for this role. They had in mind Johnny Depp, Robert Downey Jr., or even Jim Carrey apparently was touted for that role, which I can't quite see how that would have worked. But even so, it's been interesting. I'm going to say Cruise just because I think this is the last time we see this type of Tom Cruise. Because, like we say, he's never really soft and gentle. He's not a sweet character in pretty much anything after this movie. He becomes this hyper-focused, opera dancing on the couch moment kind of a guy after this film, doesn't he? So I think I would go with Cruise just because I don't think we ever see this role again. So that's the only reason I'd back it. Ash, is Cruise the saviour of cinema or just another sinner?
Off of this, just a sinner for me. There's nothing there for me that's special from this one, really.
Stu, I can see nodding your head. You're in agreement?
Yeah, just an average pretty boy. Nothing else.
Yeah, it's 3 for 3. Like you said, Stu, absolutely anybody could have played that role. There was nothing intrinsically important about this for Cruise in acting terms. So yeah, 3 sinners, I think. If you enjoyed Legend, you may also like Stu.
I mean, you mentioned it earlier. It's the obvious choice. Labyrinth is up there. Return to Witch Mountain. Not the Dwayne one. A lot of the kind of adventure films, the Goonies, better than this. A lot of the 80s fantasy films that have got story rather than this. I'd say Never Ending Story Part 2, just because you hate the first one so much. But yeah, there's more than enough. They don't look as good as this. Can't take that away from it, but as an actual enjoyable watch, no, there's plenty more.
Ash?
I've gone for Matthew Vaughn's 2007 film Stardust.
Great choice.
Magical film, young lad trying to impress the girl. Fancy land, different beings, about the same. But
Lovely film that is.
I'd much rather watch Stardust.
Is that the one with the Take That song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, brilliant film. Yeah.
Young Charlie Cox.
Yeah, great film. I'd gone with, like you said, like Labyrinth is the obvious one. The Dark Crystal, I think anything that Jim Henson laid his hands on in the 80s is worth watching. The one I was going to recommend is The Green Knight, which I know you hated, Stu. I think that's quite close to this in terms of, like, there's a lot of colour theory going on that makes it quite interesting. It's more vibe than it is story, but there's definitely more story in The Green Knight than there is in this one. So I think if you like this film, you'd probably like The Green Knight as well, because they're not a million miles apart. It is a better film, though. Even though Stu probably doesn't agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it was shit, but it probably is a better film than this. But
you know that film that we watched the other week, the short film with Jackie Earle Haley?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
The Old Thorn and...
Oh, yeah.
That was by the Green Knight director. That was done on the set of The Green Knight. It sort of feeds into it, apparently. I thought that was decent. I liked The Green Knight, though, in fairness. It was artistic whilst also being story-driven, I thought, whereas this film that we just watched just wasn't story-driven. It wasn't driven by anything. It was just poetry, which fine, but that's not really my cup of tea. What is my cup of tea is next week's Tom Cruise film. 1986 is Top Gun. I think this is the big one. I'm really looking forward to watching this again. I haven't seen it for probably about 10 years since I last saw it, I think. I don't think I rewatched it pre-Maverick.
Yeah, because you were
So it's
wrong.
been a while.
That's why.
No, I like Top Gun. I just didn't see why we needed Maverick all those years later. And then saw Maverick and was like, that's why we needed Maverick all those years later, because it's fucking brilliant. So, yeah, next week, Top Gun. Ash, have you seen Top Gun before?
I've never seen Top Gun.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited for you.
I took Mum to watch Maverick, and everyone was losing their minds at different things, and I was just sat there like, okay.
Like, even seeing Maverick last year on that annoying 4DX, like, even that didn't spoil how good of a film I thought that was. But that's a year down the line. So Top Gun, directed by Tony Scott. The Top Gun Naval Fighter Weapons School is where the best of the best train to refine their elite flying skills. When hotshot fighter pilot Maverick is sent to school, his reckless attitude and cocky demeanour put him at odds with other pilots, especially the cool and collected Iceman. Tony Scott, I think, is a very solid director who's got some decent stuff under his belt. Obviously, he did True Romance. He did Domino. Like, he's never been the man, but I think he's always been a solid hand. He's obviously produced quite a lot of stuff as well. I think, does he work with Bruckheimer on some stuff too, if I remember correctly? But yeah, like, he's got a decent filmography, and this is probably his magnum opus, I think, in fairness. This is probably the film for him. Although, Enemy of the State? No, Top Gun's better than Enemy of the State, isn't it?
Top Gun's more fun than Enemy of the State. Mm-hmm. Enemy of the State is actually... I watched it in lockdown because I hadn't seen it for ages.
Yeah.
And it was better than I remembered it being.
Okay. Look, I probably haven't seen it for the best part of 20 years, but...
Yeah, I've seen it at cinema when it came out, and I hadn't seen it again since... Yeah, that was only the second time I'd ever seen it, and obviously everyone was watching everything because we couldn't do anything else.
Yeah. And
that iconic box cover was on like the best films to see this week, or that was on TV or something, and I thought, I've got that anyway.
Oh, I'm going to call an audible as well then. So we were going to do Umbrella next week as the short film review, but Tony Scott directed a short film in 2002 called Beat the Devil. It looks like it's available. It looks like it's available on YouTube. So shall we do that instead and do double Tony Scott next week?
Beat the Devil.
Yeah, Beat the Devil from 2002. I typed in Beat the Devil, Tony Scott, and it's James Brown, Beat the Devil 2002, directed by Tony Scott on YouTube.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah.
James Brown, Clive Owen, who I saw in Shoot 'em Up last night, Danny Trejo, Gary Oldman. That's an absolutely incredible cast.
But underneath it, probably not for you, underneath it for me is the essential Chris Christopherson.
Incredible. Yeah, so I'm going to have to make a quick note of that we're going to change it around for next week. So Umbrella, I'm going to push back into April. April, we're going to be doing Brat Pack month after talking about it before. So we're going to look at the 80s and 90s, the noughties to the 10s. So who would have been in the Brat Pack in that 20-year period, and who would make up the current Brat Pack. But that'll be April, because next week we'll be finishing off our Netflix's the Netflix problem deep dive. Right, where is it? I'm trying to make a note so I don't forget that we've changed it. Beat the Devil. Okay, lovely. Right, okay. Make sure you've got us subscribed on whatever podcaster that you listen to us on. And if you could leave us a review, we would love you forever. If you want to get in contact, it is at Cage Fighting Pod on all of the socials. And it's cagefightingpod@gmail.com on the email. Let us know if you know of any short films that we can review, because like there's shitloads out there, but if you've got any ideas, we'd love to hear them. For this week, Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
We can rule the world. Goodbye.
Ash, would you like to say goodbye?
Watch out for flying houses. Goodbye.
Here's goodbye from me too, and remember, be excellent to each other.